walked out while I was screaming in pain, contractions ripping through my body every 2 minutes. The nurse asked where he went. I had no answer, because my husband, the father of the baby I was about to bring into this world, had just left the hospital. And he never came back. What I didn't know, 3 days later, he'd ask for a divorce. But that's not even the worst part of this story. I'm about to tell you something that will make you question everything you think you know about the person sleeping next to you at night. My name's Rachel Mitchell, and for 7 years, I thought I was living a fairy tale. I met David at a coffee shop in Portland, Oregon. Classic meet cute. He accidentally grabbed my latte, I grabbed his Americano, we laughed, exchanged numbers. He was a software engineer, I was finishing my nursing degree. He had kind eyes and this laugh that made everyone in the room smile. Our wedding was small but perfect. 50 guests, a garden venue, handwritten vows. David cried when I walked down the aisle. His vows promised forever, promised protection, promised he'd never let me face anything alone. I should have noticed the cracks earlier. The way he'd disappear into his phone during dinner. The work trips that seemed to multiply. How he'd snap at me over small things. A dish in the sink, forgetting to buy his favorite coffee creamer. But I rationalized everything. He's stressed. Work is demanding. Every marriage has rough patches. When I got pregnant, I thought things would change. I thought a baby would bring us back together. I was so wrong. Month 3, David stopped coming to doctor's appointments. I have a deadline, he'd say. You know how important this project is. Month 5, he moved into the spare bedroom. You snore when you're pregnant, he claimed. I need sleep for work. Month 7, he stopped asking how I felt, stopped touching my belly, stopped looking at the ultrasound pictures I'd leave on the kitchen counter. Month 9, he was a ghost living in my house. But I told myself, once the baby comes, once he holds our daughter, everything will click. The David I married will come back. Fatherhood will transform him. August 15th, 2024, 2:47 a.m. I woke up in a puddle. My water had broken 3 weeks early. David, I shook him awake. David, it's time. We need to go to the hospital. He sat up, groggy, annoyed. Are you sure? Can't it wait until morning? I stared at him. I'm in labor. No, it cannot wait until morning. The drive to the hospital was silent. 23 minutes of silence while I breathed through contractions, gripping the door handle so hard my knuckles went white. He didn't hold my hand, didn't tell me it would be okay, just drove, jaw clenched, like I was inconveniencing him. At the hospital, they checked me in. 4 centimeters dilated. You're definitely in active labor, Mrs. Mitchell, the nurse said cheerfully. Looks like you'll meet your baby girl soon. They set me up in a delivery room, sterile and bright, with a monitor showing my baby's heartbeat, strong and steady. The nurse hooked me up to an IV, checked my vitals, explained what would happen next. David sat in the corner chair, scrolling his phone. 6:15 a.m. 7 centimeters dilated. Contractions every 90 seconds. I was sweating, crying, trying to breathe through the pain. David, I gasped between contractions. Can you hold my hand? He glanced up from his phone. I need to make a call, work thing. I'll be right back. He walked out. The nurse gave me a sympathetic look. First-time dads get nervous, she said kindly. He'll be back. 7:30 a.m. 8 centimeters. He wasn't back. 8:45 a.m. 9 centimeters. The nurse went to look for him. She came back alone, confused. I can't find your husband anywhere. His car's still in the parking lot, but 9:20 a.m. 10 centimeters. Time to push. Where is he? I sobbed. Where's David? The nurse held my hand instead. A stranger held my hand while I brought my daughter into the world. 10:03 a.m. Emma Rose Mitchell entered the world screaming, perfect and beautiful, and weighing 6 pounds 4 ounces. I held her against my chest, tears streaming down my face. But they weren't happy tears. They were grief. Because the first moment of my daughter's life was marked by her father's absence. The nurse helped me with skin-to-skin contact. Another nurse took photos on my phone, photos that should have had 3 people in them, not 2. "Has anyone contacted your husband?" the doctor asked gently. I don't know where he is." They moved me to a recovery room. I tried calling David, straight to voicemail. I texted him, nothing. I called his mother, his brother, his best friend. No one had heard from him. It was like he had vanished into thin air. 6:30 p.m., 12 hours after he had walked out, David walked into my recovery room like nothing had happened. His hair was damp, like he'd just showered. He smelled like cologne. "Hey," he said casually. "Sorry, got cut up." "Is that her?" I stared at him. Every emotion I'd been suppressing for 9 months erupted. "Got caught up?" My voice was shaking. "Got caught up?" "I was in labor, David. I gave birth to our daughter. Where were you?" He flinched. "Don't yell. You're going to upset the baby." "Don't you dare," I hissed. "Don't you dare use her as an excuse. You left me. You left us." He sighed, like I was being dramatic. "I needed some air, Rachel. The hospital was stuffy. I went for a drive." "A 10-hour drive?" "I fell asleep in the car. Okay? I was exhausted." Lies. I knew they were lies. But I was too tired, too overwhelmed, too destroyed to fight anymore. He picked up Emma awkwardly, like he was holding a bomb. Looked at her for exactly 3 seconds. Put her back in the bassinet. "We should talk when we get home," he said. Those words, those 6 words, they sent ice through my veins. Because I knew. Somehow I knew. This wasn't about stress or cold feet or adjustment anxiety. This was the beginning of the end. But I had no idea just how much worse it was about to get.
I'm telling you the true story of how my husband abandoned me during labor, disappeared for 10 hours, and came back acting like nothing happened. 3 days later, he dropped a bomb that would change everything. But before that bomb, there were warning signs I missed. Signs that, looking back, make perfect sense. Let me tell you about the 3 days between Emma's birth and the moment my world exploded. Day 1, home. Emma wouldn't stop crying. I was exhausted, bleeding, trying to figure out breastfeeding while my body screamed in pain. Every movement hurt. Sitting hurt. Standing hurt. Everything hurt. David was in the garage, working on a project, he said. Midnight. Emma was crying. I was crying. I hadn't slept in 38 hours. I knocked on the garage door. "David, please, I need help. I need sleep." "I have work tomorrow, Rachel. I can't function without sleep." "Neither can I." Silence. Then, "Figure it out. Women have been doing this for thousands of years." He didn't come out of the garage. Day 2, home. My mom came over. One look at me and she knew something was horribly wrong. "Honey," she said gently, "where's David?" "Work." "On a Saturday?" I didn't have an answer. My mom stayed the whole weekend. Changed diapers, helped with feeding, let me shower for the first time in days. She kept asking about David. I kept making excuses. "He's adjusting, Mom. You know, it's hard for men. They don't have the biological connection yet." My mom's face said everything her mouth didn't. Sunday night, after my mom left, I found David's laptop open on the kitchen counter. I wasn't snooping, it was just sitting there, unlocked, browser open. I saw an email notification from someone named V. Morrison. Subject line, "Can't wait to see you tomorrow." My stomach dropped. I shouldn't have clicked, but I did. The email was brief. "David, lunch was amazing yesterday. I can't stop thinking about you. Tuesday can't come fast enough. Tell her yet? V." Tell her? Tell me what? My hands were shaking as I scrolled through his inbox. I found a folder labeled VM. He'd created a separate folder for her messages. Dozens of emails. Months of emails. I clicked the oldest one. January 2024. 8 months ago. 2 months into my pregnancy. "David, meeting you has changed everything. I never believed in love at first sight until I walked into that conference room. Vanessa." I kept reading. Each email was a knife to my chest. "February. I know you're married, but what we have is real. You said yourself the marriage is dead." March. "When you finally leave her, we can start our real life together." April. "Have you told her yet? When are you filing?" July. "I know the baby complicates things, but David, you can't stay in a loveless marriage just because she's pregnant. That's not fair to anyone." August 10th, 5 days before I went into labor. "So you'll tell her this week? Promise me. I can't keep being the other woman. I love you." I sat there, in my kitchen, bleeding into a postpartum pad, my 3-day-old daughter sleeping in the next room, reading emails that detailed my husband's affair with his coworker, Vanessa Morrison, 26 years old, junior developer at his company. They'd met at a tech conference in January. He'd been cheating on me for 8 months. The entire pregnancy. He'd been planning to leave me the entire pregnancy. Monday morning, day 3, home from the hospital. David came downstairs at 6 a.m., dressed for work. I was feeding Emma, eyes raw from crying all night. "I need to talk," I said. My voice was dead, flat. He froze. "About what?" "About Vanessa Morrison?" His face went white, then red, then hardened into something I didn't recognize. "You went through my computer? You cheated on me while I was pregnant." Emma started crying. I was crying. David just stood there, expressionless. "Keep your voice down," he said coldly. "Keep my voice down? Keep my voice down? You've been having an affair for 8 months. You left me alone in labor because you were with her, weren't you? You didn't fall asleep in your car. You were with her." He didn't deny it. "I was going to tell you," he said quietly. When? When were you going to tell me, David?" "After the baby was born. I didn't want to stress you during the pregnancy." The audacity, the absolute audacity. "How considerate," I said, my voice dripping with venom. "How kind of you to wait until I'd just given birth to destroy our family." "There is no family, Rachel." His voice was ice. "There hasn't been for a long time. We've been over for years. You just refuse to see it." He sat down at the kitchen table, pulled out a folder from his briefcase, set it in front of me. "I'm filing for divorce," he said. "My lawyer drew up the papers. I think we should handle this quickly and quietly for Emma's sake." I stared at the folder, at the words "Petition for Dissolution of Marriage" printed across the top. "You already hired a lawyer," I whispered. "Before Emma was even born, you hired a lawyer?" "I'm trying to be practical about this." "Practical?" I laughed. It sounded unhinged. "You're trying to be practical." "I'll give you the house," he continued, like he was discussing a business deal. "I'll pay child support, of course. We can work out a custody arrangement, though I think Emma should primarily live with you, given her age." Given Her age? She's 3 days old, David. She's 3 days old and you're already trying to abandon her? I'm not abandoning anyone, he said. I'm just being realistic about what I can offer as a father. Which is nothing. You are offering nothing. He stood up. Look, I know you're emotional right now. Do not tell me I'm emotional. But this is happening whether you like it or not. You can sign these papers now or my lawyer will file anyway. Your choice. But I'm done, Rachel. I'm done with this marriage. He walked towards the door. Is she worth it? I asked quietly. Is Vanessa worth destroying your family? He turned back. And the look on his face, it was pity. I'm actually happy now, Rachel. For the first time in years, I'm happy. That should tell you everything you need to know about this marriage. He left for work. I sat there, holding my sleeping baby, divorce papers on the table in front of me, my entire life in ruins. 10 minutes later, my phone rang. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. Is this Rachel Mitchell? A woman's voice, young, nervous. Yes. My name is Vanessa Morrison. My blood froze. I know you probably hate me, but I need to tell you something. David doesn't know I'm calling. He'd kill me if he knew. But you deserve to know the truth. What truth? My voice was hollow. I met David in January, Vanessa said, words tumbling out fast, at a tech conference. He said he was separated, showed me apartment listings, said he was moving out any day, said you two had been over for a year. I said nothing, let her continue. We started dating. He'd come over 3-4 times a week, said you knew about me, that you were just waiting for the paperwork to finalize. I believed him. Of course she did. David was a good liar. Then last week, I saw his Instagram. Rachel, you were posting pregnancy updates, nursery photos, couple photos with him. You were 8 months pregnant, and you had no idea about me. Her voice cracked. I confronted him. He said you were delusional, that you refused to accept the marriage was over, that you'd trapped him with a pregnancy. He said he was just waiting for the baby to be born so he could leave without looking like the bad guy. Why are you telling me this? I asked. Because there's more. She took a shaky breath. 2 days ago, the day you had your baby, David told me he couldn't see me that evening, said he had family obligations. I thought he was at the hospital with you. But Rachel, he wasn't. Where was he? He was with me from 6 a.m. to 4 p.m. We had lunch, went back to my apartment. He left at 4 and said he had to make an appearance at the hospital before visiting hours ended. So he'd abandoned me during labor to spend the day with his mistress, then showed up that evening, fresh from her bed, to meet his daughter for 30 seconds.
There's one more thing, Vanessa whispered. Yesterday, I found a Planned Parenthood receipt in his car from 3 weeks ago. My heart stopped. He took someone for an abortion, Rachel, 3 weeks ago, and it wasn't you because you were 9 months pregnant. Everything clicked into place. The work trips, the late nights, the way he'd been even more distant the last few months. There wasn't just Vanessa. There was someone else. David had gotten another woman pregnant, and he'd convinced her to terminate it. I'm so sorry. Vanessa was crying now. I'm so sorry. I didn't know about you. I would never. I'm not that person. He told me you knew. He said, It's okay, I said quietly. And I meant it. She was a victim too, just another woman David had lied to and used. What are you going to do? She asked. Good question. What was I going to do? I'll tell you what I did, but first, You need to understand something about me. I'm a nurse. I'm trained to stay calm in emergencies, to think clearly under pressure, to assess, plan, and execute. David thought he'd broken me. He was wrong. By the time David came home that night, I had already made 3 phone calls that would change everything. My lawyer, my bank, and one other person, someone David had no idea I knew about. I'll tell you exactly how I dismantled David's perfect plan and turned his calculated betrayal into his worst nightmare. Because David made one critical mistake. He underestimated me. The revenge is about to get satisfying. Here's where the story gets good. Because while David was at work, smugly thinking he'd covered all his bases, I was at home making moves he never saw coming. Let me walk you through exactly how I destroyed his perfect exit plan. After Vanessa's call, I had clarity. The rage was gone, replaced by cold calculation. First priority, protect Emma and myself legally. I called Jessica Park, a divorce attorney my nurse colleague had recommended after her own messy divorce. Jessica had a reputation for being ruthless, but fair. I needed ruthless. Rachel Mitchell, I said when she answered. I need an emergency consultation. My husband just served me divorce papers. I'm 3 days postpartum. He served you 3 days after you gave birth? Her voice was sharp. Hold on. I'm clearing my afternoon. Come in at 2 p.m. Bring the papers he gave you. Bring everything. I can't leave the house. I just had a baby. I'll come to you. Text me your address. 2 hours later, Jessica sat at my kitchen table, reading through David's proposed divorce settlement while I fed Emma. She looked up, jaw clenched. Rachel, do not sign this. Under any circumstances, do not sign this. Why? Because this settlement is designed to screw you. He's offering you the house, yes, but look at paragraph 7. He wants you to take over the mortgage payments entirely. You'd be responsible for a $3,200 monthly payment on a house that's in both your names. I hadn't noticed that detail. He's offering minimum child support, $400 a month, for your daughter. Rachel, he makes $180,000 a year. Oregon child support guidelines would require him to pay at least $1,800 monthly. He told me he was being generous. Jessica's laugh was bitter. He's counting on you being too traumatized and exhausted to read the fine print. This is financial abuse, and it's shockingly common. Men do this all the time, serve divorce papers when women are most vulnerable. What do I do? First, don't sign anything. Second, tell me everything. And I mean everything. I told Jessica about Vanessa, the emails, the disappearance during labor, the Planned Parenthood receipt. Wait, Jessica held up a hand. Go back. He took another woman for an abortion? According to Vanessa, yes. Do you know who? No, but I might be able to find out. Jessica leaned forward. Rachel, I need you to listen carefully. Oregon is a no-fault divorce state, which means adultery technically doesn't matter in the divorce proceeding itself, but it matters enormously for custody and spousal support. How? If we can prove David has been financially supporting another relationship, taking women on trips, paying for procedures, supporting a girlfriend, that's marital asset dissipation. Money that should have gone to your household went to his affair. We can recoup that. And custody? A pattern of deception, abandonment during a medical emergency, prioritizing an affair over his newborn daughter? Rachel, we can destroy him in custody court. But I need evidence. Lots of it. The emails? That's a start. Do you have access to his financial records? I did. We had a joint bank account and credit card. I'd never looked at the statements. I trusted him. Big mistake. Pull everything from the last year. Bank statements, credit card bills, receipts. I need a paper trail. While Emma slept, I logged into our joint bank account. What I found made me physically ill. January through August 2024. $847 at a jewelry store. Not my birthday. Not our anniversary. $1,200 at a boutique hotel in Seattle.
He told me that was a solo work retreat. $650 at a fancy restaurant. He told me he was at a client dinner. $420 at Planned Parenthood, the receipt Vanessa mentioned. $2,100 in Venmo payments to someone named Brittany Chen. Brittany Chen, the other woman. More charges, concert tickets, weekend trips, expensive dinners, all while I was pregnant, working overtime at the hospital to save money for maternity leave, packing my lunch to cut costs. He'd spent over $15,000 of our money on his affairs. I downloaded everything, every statement, every receipt, every transaction. Then I made my second call. "Hello, I need to speak to someone about separating a joint account," I told the bank representative. 20 minutes later, I had opened a new account in only my name, transferred exactly half of our joint savings, $18,000, left him the other half. Legal? Yes. Satisfying? Extremely. I also removed him as an authorized user on my personal credit card, the one I stupidly added him to 2 years ago for emergencies, and then I called our credit card company and requested a card freeze on our joint account, requiring both signatures for any new charges. David's free spending was over. This was the risky one. Finding Brittany took some detective work. The Venmo payments had her name, but no photo. I searched Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. Found her on Instagram. Brittany Chen, 24, marketing coordinator at a startup in Portland. Her most recent post, from 2 weeks ago, a photo of the Oregon coast with the caption, "Healing," and a broken heart emoji. I sent her a DM. "Brittany, my name is Rachel Mitchell. I'm David Mitchell's wife. I know about the Planned Parenthood visit. I know he got you pregnant. I'm not angry at you. I'm angry at him. If you're willing to talk, I think we can help each other." I didn't expect a response. Who would want to talk to their ex-lover's wife? She responded in 10 minutes. "Can we meet? Today?"
My mom came over to watch Emma. I drove to a coffee shop across town, still moving slowly from delivery. Brittany was waiting. Tiny, pretty, young. She looked exhausted. When she saw me, clearly postpartum, still wearing maternity leggings, she started crying. "I'm so sorry," she sobbed. "I'm so sorry." We sat. I ordered us both coffee. Let her compose herself. "How did you meet David?" I asked gently. "Tinder, last October. He said he was divorced, showed me his apartment, said he'd been living alone for 6 months. The apartment was his friend Marcus's place. Marcus traveled for work constantly. David had a key for emergencies. I found out later he'd been using it as his bachelor pad for hookups. We dated for 3 months. In January, I found out I was pregnant. I told David, and he freaked out. Said he couldn't have a baby right now, that it would ruin everything. Offered to pay for an abortion. Did you want to keep it?" "I don't know. I was scared. But David was so insistent. Said we could try again later when the timing was better. So I went through with it. He took me to the appointment, paid for everything, took me back to his apartment to recover. His friend's apartment, where I'd never think to look for him." "When did you find out he was married?" 2 weeks ago, after the abortion. I felt wrong, like something was off. So I did some digging, found his real Facebook profile. He'd given me a fake last name on Tinder, saw all the photos of you two, saw that you were pregnant. She looked at me with devastated eyes. He made me get an abortion while his wife was about to give birth to his baby. What kind of person does that? "Someone who only thinks about himself," I said quietly. "Why did you want to meet me?" she asked. "Because my lawyer is building a case, and your testimony would help. David spent marital money on you, on dates, on the abortion, on recovery.
That's financial misconduct. But more importantly, it shows a pattern of behavior that a judge needs to see. "I'll testify," she said immediately. "I want to. He's a monster. He needs to face consequences." 6:30 p.m. David walked through the door, loosening his tie. "Hey," he said casually, like the morning's divorce bomb hadn't happened. "What's for dinner?" I was feeding Emma on the couch. Looked up at him with dead eyes. "Nothing. I'm not cooking for you." "Rachel, don't be childish. We still have to live together until—" "No, we don't." "Excuse me?" "I called a lawyer today. She explained some things to me, like how you're trying to manipulate me into accepting a settlement that would financially destroy me." His jaw tightened. "I offered you the house. With mortgage payments I can't afford while you skip away paying $400 a month and child support? No thanks." "That's a fair amount." "It's 20% of what Oregon law requires. My lawyer is filing a motion for full guideline support, $1,800 a month." His face flushed red. "Your lawyer? You hired a lawyer?" "I did. Jessica Park. You might have heard of her. She's famous for destroying cheating husbands in divorce court." "Rachel, I also opened my own bank account and transferred my half of our savings. Cleaned out the joint account I'd personally contributed to. You're welcome to what's left." "You did what?" "And I froze our credit card. Any new charges require both signatures now." He was shaking with rage. "You can't do that." "I can. And I did." "Oh, and David, I had coffee with Brittany Chen today." The color drained from his face. "She's willing to testify about your relationship, about the pregnancy, about the abortion you paid for with our money, about the apartment you claimed was yours when it's actually Marcus's. You had no right. I had every right. You want a divorce? Fine, but we're doing it my way now. Fair support, fair custody, and full disclosure of every penny you spent on your affairs." "This is insane." "No, David. What's insane is abandoning your wife during labor. What's insane is serving divorce papers 3 days after she gives birth. What's insane is spending $15,000 of family money on mistresses while your pregnant wife works overtime." He stood there, trapped, cornered, realizing for the first time that I wasn't going to be an easy victim. "You're going to regret this," he said quietly. "No, you are." That night, after David locked himself in the spare bedroom, I made my final call. To David's mother. Catherine Mitchell had always been kind to me. We had a good relationship, or so I thought. She called every week, sent gifts for Emma, seemed genuinely excited about being a grandmother. I told her everything. The affair, the abandonment, the divorce papers, the financial abuse, the abortion. She was silent for a long time after I finished. "Rachel," she finally said, voice shaking, "I am so deeply sorry. I raised him better than this." "I know you did. What can I do to help?" "Honestly, Catherine, I'm not sure there's anything—" "Yes, I do. I'm changing my will. Tomorrow. David was set to inherit half of my estate. Not anymore. He gets nothing. Everything goes to you and Emma." I wasn't expecting that. "Catherine, you don't have to." "Yes, I do. I won't reward this behavior. And Rachel, I'm testifying on your behalf in the custody hearing. Whatever you need, I'll be there." When I hung up, I felt something I hadn't felt in days. Hope. David thought he'd planned the perfect escape. He'd systematically destroyed our marriage while I was pregnant, lined up his next relationship, and prepared to walk away with minimal consequences. But he made one critical error. He assumed I'd be too broken to fight back. In the next part, you'll hear about the custody battle, the courtroom showdown, and the shocking discovery that would turn this entire story on its head, because David's betrayal went even deeper than I knew. And wait until you hear what Vanessa found in his computer. It changes everything.
Welcome to the final part of this story. I'm Rachel Mitchell, and over the last 3 parts, I've told you how my husband David abandoned me during childbirth, served me divorce papers 3 days later, and tried to manipulate me into a settlement that would destroy me financially. I've told you how I fought back, how I hired a ruthless lawyer, secured evidence of his affairs, and got his own mother to testify against him. But I haven't told you how it ended. I haven't told you what happened when we finally faced each other in court. And I definitely haven't told you about what Vanessa Morrison discovered on David's computer, a discovery so disturbing that it changed the entire trajectory of the case. So let's finish this story, because you deserve to know how this ends. October 2024. Emma was 6 weeks old. I was physically recovered, but emotionally destroyed. David had moved in with Vanessa. Yes, despite everything, they were still together. Apparently, she forgave him for the lies because everyone makes mistakes. He hadn't seen Emma since the day he moved out, hadn't asked to, hadn't sent a single text asking how she was doing. But now we were in family court, fighting over custody. David's lawyer was expensive. Slick suit, confident smirk, prepared to paint me as an unstable, vindictive ex-wife who was trying to keep a father from his child. Jessica Park sat beside me, calm and collected. She'd spent 6 weeks building our case. Every receipt, every email, every testimony. She was ready. The judge was Honorable Margaret Chen, 50-something, known for being fair but tough. She'd seen everything in her 20 years on the bench. David sat across the courtroom, not meeting my eyes. Vanessa was in the gallery, holding his hand. The audacity. David's lawyer went first. Your Honor, my client is a devoted father who wants nothing more than to be an active presence in his daughter's life. Unfortunately, Mrs. Mitchell has been obstructing all attempts at co-parenting. She's refused to allow visits, refused to communicate, and has weaponized their child to punish Mr. Mitchell for ending an unhappy marriage. I nearly laughed. Refused to allow visits? He hadn't asked for any visits. Jessica stood. Her voice was measured, professional, deadly. Your Honor, the evidence will show that Mr. Mitchell abandoned his wife during active labor to spend a day with his mistress, that he has not requested a single visit with his daughter since her birth, that he spent over $15,000 of marital funds on extramarital affairs while his pregnant wife worked overtime to support their family, and that he served divorce papers 3 days postpartum in a calculated attempt to catch Mrs. Mitchell at her most vulnerable. Furthermore, Your Honor, we have testimony from multiple witnesses, including Mr. Mitchell's own mother, that establishes a pattern of deception, abandonment, and financial misconduct that makes him fundamentally unfit for unsupervised custody of a newborn. Judge Chen raised an eyebrow. Mr. Mitchell's mother is testifying against him? Yes, Your Honor. Mrs. Catherine Mitchell will testify that her son has displayed behavior so concerning that she has disinherited him and restructured her estate to protect her granddaughter. David's lawyer looked blindsided. They clearly hadn't expected that. I took the stand first, told the story calmly, chronologically. The pregnancy, the distance, the abandonment and labor, the divorce papers. David's lawyer tried to rattle me during cross-examination. Mrs. Mitchell, isn't it true that you and your husband had been having marital problems for years? We had normal marital stress. I wasn't aware of any serious problems until I discovered the affair.
Isn't it true that you're seeking revenge for the affair by denying my client access to his daughter? No, your client hasn't requested access to his daughter. Not once in 6 weeks. Mrs. Mitchell, you logged into my client's email without his permission, isn't that correct? His laptop was open on our shared kitchen counter. I saw an email notification and clicked it. But you continued reading through his private correspondence. I read emails that detailed an 8-month affair conducted with our marital funds while I was pregnant with his child. Yes, I read them. Any reasonable person would. The lawyer tried a different angle. Mrs. Mitchell, you transferred $18,000 from a joint account without your husband's knowledge. I transferred my half of the savings that I contributed to. I left him his half. You froze the credit card to prevent further dissipation of marital assets. You contacted women from my client's past. I contacted women your client had deceived who were willing to testify about his pattern of dishonesty. Every question he asked, I had an answer. Jessica had prepared me well. Then Vanessa Morrison took the stand. David's lawyer looked confused. Vanessa was David's girlfriend. Why was she testifying for me? Because 3 days before the hearing, Vanessa called me with information that changed everything. Jessica questioned her gently. Ms. Morrison, how did he meet David Mitchell? At a work conference in January 2024. We began a romantic relationship shortly after. Did Mr. Mitchell tell you he was married? No, he said he was separated and living alone. When did you discover the truth? In August, when I saw his Instagram profile and realized his wife was 8 months pregnant. What did you do when you discovered this? I confronted him. He claimed his wife was delusional and had trapped him with a pregnancy he didn't want. Judge Chen's expression darkened. Did you believe him? Jessica asked. At first, yes. But then Vanessa's voice shook. 3 days ago, I found something on his computer. Here it was, the bombshell. What did you find? A folder labeled insurance. I thought it was, health insurance documents. But when I opened it, she pulled out printed screenshots, handed them to the bailiff, who gave them to the judge. Judge Chen's face went pale. What are these? She asked quietly. Photos of Rachel, Mrs. Mitchell, sleeping, Vanessa said with voice trembling. Dozens of them, taken throughout her pregnancy, close-ups of her face, her body, time-stamped, organized by date. The courtroom went silent. Your Honor, Jessica said, what Vanessa discovered is evidence that Mr. Mitchell had been systematically photographing his wife without her knowledge or consent. We believe he was documenting her pregnancy for potential use in a custody or support dispute, perhaps to claim she was unstable or to have leverage. I felt sick. David had been taking photos of me while I slept? For months? There's more, Vanessa continued. There was a Word document in the same folder, titled Insurance. I thought it was, health insurance documents. But when I opened it, Jessica entered the document into evidence, read sections aloud. Wait until after birth to file, sympathy advantage lost, but avoid accusations of abandoning pregnant wife. Offer house with unaffordable mortgage to appear generous. Document any outbursts or emotional instability for custody battle. Minimize support payments by claiming reduced income. The document was dated December 2023, before he'd even met Vanessa, before I was pregnant. David had been planning to leave me for over a year. The pregnancy hadn't stopped him. He just adapted his strategy. David's mother took the stand. She looked at her son with open disappointment. Mrs. Mitchell, you're here voluntarily to testify in support of your daughter-in-law, correct? Yes, because what my son has done is unconscionable. What is your relationship with your son currently? Estranged. I told him that unless he gets serious psychological help and makes genuine amends, I don't want contact with him. David shifted uncomfortably. Can you tell the court about your last conversation with your son? I called him after Rachel told me what had happened. He showed no remorse. His words were, "Mom, I did what I had to. She'll be fine." No concern for his daughter, no accountability for his actions, just like coldness. Have you observed him with your granddaughter? Once at the hospital. He held Emma for perhaps 10 seconds, then put her down and left. He showed more emotion toward his car than his child. That hurt David. I could see it on his face. Finally, David took the stand. His lawyer tried to rehab his image. "Mr. Mitchell, do you love your daughter?" "Of course I do." "Why haven't you seen her in 6 weeks?" "Because Rachel has made it clear I'm not welcome. Every time I've tried to reach out, she ignores me." Jessica stood for cross-examination, pulled out her phone. "Your Honor, I have Mr. Mitchell's phone records. In 6 weeks, he has sent exactly 0 text messages to Mrs. Mitchell asking to see Emma. 0 phone calls, 0 emails. He's lying under oath." His lawyer objected. The judge overruled. "Mr. Mitchell," Jessica continued, "you claimed you fell asleep in your car during your wife's labor. Where did you park?" I in the hospital parking lot." "Security footage shows your
Car leaving at 6:47 a.m. and returning at 6:15 p.m. Where were you for 11 and a half hours? Let me help you. You were at Miss Morrison's apartment. Phone records place you there. Her doorman confirms you arrived at 7:30 a.m. and left at 5:45 p.m. You abandoned your wife during labor to spend the day with your mistress, correct? I needed space. Yes or no, Mr. Mitchell? Yes. You spent over $15,000 of marital funds on affairs while your pregnant wife worked overtime, correct? Those were my earnings. Answer the question, yes or no? Yes. You had another woman terminate a pregnancy 3 weeks before your wife gave birth, correct? His lawyer jumped up. Objection, relevance. It's relevant to the pattern of behavior, Your Honor. I'll allow it. Answer the question, Mr. Mitchell. That was a complicated situation. Yes or no? Yes. Jessica paused. Let that sink in. Mr. Mitchell, did you create a document titled Exit Strategy, detailing how to leave your marriage with minimal consequences? I was trying to plan. Did you or did you not create that document? Yes. Did you take photos of your sleeping wife without her knowledge? Long pause. Yes. Why? I thought I might need evidence if she tried to claim I was abusive or... Evidence of what? Her sleeping peacefully in her bed while pregnant? What exactly did those photos prove? He had no answer. Jessica sat down.
Judge Chen took off her glasses, rubbed her eyes. She looked exhausted. "I've been a family court judge for 20 years, she said. "I've seen terrible things. Abuse, addiction, neglect. But this case, Mr. Mitchell, I'm genuinely disturbed by your behavior." David stared at the floor. "You didn't just end your marriage poorly, you systematically planned to abandon your family in the most cruel manner possible. You documented your wife without consent. You spent marital funds on affairs. You abandoned her during a medical emergency. And worst of all, you've shown 0 remorse. Your Honor," his lawyer tried. "I'm not finished. Mr. Mitchell, you claim you want to be a father, but wanting something and being capable of it are different things. You haven't seen your daughter in 6 weeks. Haven't asked to, haven't sent diapers or formula or a single dollar of support. Here's my ruling. Full legal and physical custody goes to Rachel Mitchell. Mr. Mitchell will have supervised visitation only, 2 hours per week, supervised by a professional monitor. He will pay full guideline child support, $1,847 per month, plus half of all childcare and medical expenses. He will also reimburse Mrs. Mitchell $15,000 for dissipation of marital assets. David's face went red. Furthermore, Mr. Mitchell will undergo psychological evaluation before any consideration of unsupervised visitation, and if he misses a single support payment or visitation session, we'll be back here discussing termination of parental rights. The gavel fell. David never showed up to a single supervised visit, never paid support on time, eventually stopped responding to his lawyer's calls. He and Vanessa broke up 2 months after the hearing. Apparently, discovering your boyfriend is a manipulative narcissist kills the romance. Catherine, my former mother-in-law, now just Emma's devoted grandmother, comes over twice a week. She set up a college fund for Emma, apologizes constantly for her son. David moved to Seattle for a new job. I heard through mutual friends that he's dating someone new. I wonder if she knows what she's getting into. As for me, I'm okay. Some days are hard. I'm a single mom working full-time, healing from trauma, learning to trust again. But Emma is thriving. She's 4 months old now, healthy and happy. She smiles at me every morning, and that smile makes everything worth it. People ask if I regret marrying David. Honestly, no, because he gave me Emma, and she's the best thing that ever happened to me. Do I regret trusting him? Yes. Do I regret fighting back? Never. Here's what I learned from all of this. Trust your gut. I knew something was wrong for months, but I ignored every red flag because I wanted to believe in our marriage. Don't let shock paralyze you. When David served those divorce papers, he expected me to crumble. Instead, I got angry. Anger is powerful when you channel it correctly. Document everything. Every email, every receipt, every conversation. I never thought I'd need evidence against my own husband, but I'm grateful I had it. You're stronger than you think. Giving birth alone, fighting a custody battle, rebuilding your life, you don't know what you're capable of until you have no choice. And most importantly, some people are really good at hiding who they are. David fooled me for 7 years. He fooled his coworkers. He fooled multiple women. Sociopaths are charming. That's how they succeed. Last week, I got a message from Brittany Chen. She'd been following the case, wanted to know how I was doing. We met for coffee. Talked for 2 hours, realized we had a lot in common. Both young women deceived by the same man, both trying to heal. She told me something that gave me chills. She said, I did some digging. I found David's Reddit account. His what? She showed me her phone. A Reddit profile with David's initials and birth year, posts going back 5 years, posts about how to leave a marriage without losing money, posts about keeping a side relationship hidden, posts about baby trapping and how to avoid it. One post from 2 years ago, how do I convince my wife we don't need a baby when I'm planning to leave anyway? David had been planning this for years. Our entire marriage, or at least the last half of it, had been a lie. I laughed when Brittany showed me, not because it was funny, but because at a certain point, the betrayal is so complete that all you can do is laugh. It's been 7 months since that night in the hospital, 7 months since David walked out and never came back. Emma is sleeping through the night now, laughing, grabbing at toys. She looks like me, thankfully. I don't see David when I look at her. I started therapy. PTSD, my therapist says, from the abandonment, the betrayal, the gaslighting. It has a name, and I'm working through it. I'm dating again. Slowly, very, very slowly. Learning to trust is hard when the person you trusted most destroyed you. But I'm here. I'm surviving. I'm even on some days thriving. And David? Last I heard, he's engaged to the new girlfriend. They've been together 4 months. I thought about reaching out to her, warning her, but ultimately decided against it. Some lessons you have to learn yourself. 2 weeks ago, I got an email from an address I didn't recognize. Subject line, "You need to know this." The email was from David's Seattle girlfriend. Her name was Jennifer. "Rachel, I found your information through court records. I'm sorry to contact you in this way, but I need to know who kind of person David is before I make the biggest mistake of my life. He told me his ex-wife was crazy, that she kept his daughter from him out of spite, that he's the victim. Then I found the court transcripts online, read about what he did to you, the abandonment, the affairs, the photos, everything. I confronted him. He said the court was biased, that you manipulated everyone, that none of it was true. But I know it is, because he did something similar to me last week, disappeared for a day, came back with a weak excuse. I found hotel receipts in his car. I'm leaving him today. While he's at work, I'm packing my things and moving back to my parents' house. I wanted you to know that your story saved me. You fought back when he expected you to break, and your strength is documented in court records that I could find and read and learn from. Thank you for being brave enough to fight. You saved me from becoming you. Jennifer." I cried when I read that email. Not sad tears, grateful tears. Because maybe the worst experience of my life prevented someone else from going through the same thing. Maybe that's enough. If you're in a relationship where something feels wrong, trust that feeling. If you're with someone who makes you question your reality, that's gaslighting. And you deserve better. If you're being served divorce papers at your most vulnerable, don't sign anything. Call a lawyer. Fight back. And if you're a woman who just gave birth alone, who was abandoned, who feels broken, you're not broken. You're a survivor, and you're stronger than the person who tried to destroy you. My name is Rachel Mitchell. My husband abandoned me during labor and asked for a divorce 3 days later. But that's not the end of my story. That's just the chapter where I learned who I really am. Emma and I are building a new life, a better life, a life without lies, without betrayal, without someone who sees us as obstacles to overcome. We're going to be just fine, better than fine. We're going to be happy. If this story resonated with you, if you've been through something similar, or if you know someone who needs to hear this, please share this video. Share it with every woman who needs to know she's not alone. Share it with every person who's questioning whether they should fight back. And hit that subscribe button, because I'll be sharing more true stories of survival, strength, and justice. Stories that need to be told. Stories that might save someone. Thank you for listening to my story. Thank you for being here. And remember, you are never as alone as you think you are. Stay strong. Stay safe. And never, ever let anyone make you feel small.